It's Friday, June 27th, 2025. Let's start off, as we always do, by saying that if you'd like to support our show, you can go to supportourshow.com, and there you will find an array of options to support the show, including joining our little Patreon, which everything on there is free on all tiers. There's nothing that is price restricted. I can say that for sure. There is one thing that will be posted on there that I'm not going to post anywhere else, because it really doesn't fit anywhere else, but I have a recording from about an hour long that I did on the car drive back from my appearance on Mr. Ant Pruitt's podcast on Juneteenth, which you can see on his YouTube channel, which he normally goes for an hour, but thanks to my presence, it was nearly 3 hours. So, as usual, I have wrecked another person's kind of very structured way of doing things, but
you're a
it was very fun. I went up there. I brought my pizza oven. I made pizza. We watched two films, Prey and Yes, Madam. I did not find another enthusiast. Yes.
You went on a mandate, is what you did.
Oh no, I did, because this came up a while ago.
You made him dinner. You watched a movie with him,
and his wife was wonderful. And so I had said, hey, here's an idea. I said, why don't I come up there? I'll bring a couple movies, and then do the show. And I don't think
what is his very structured show?
It is called Everyday People, Everyday Shit, because it's about everyday people doing everyday shit. So it's perfect time. And so I had a plan. I think he thought I was just kind of going to show up and we'd go get something to eat and hang out for a bit. And I'm like, no, here's what it is. I'm like, because I said, I'm going to get up there. I'm going to be out the door at 7. I will be there by 9:30. I said, we're going to watch the first movie. I'm going to make pizza. We're going to watch the second movie. Then we'll do the show. That's exactly what it was. So I gave him and I let him pick the first movie. So I said, I am choosing the second film. Because I knew it was going to be Yes, Madam. Because
did you have a list or something like that?
I did. I said I gave him some keywords. I said select from these keywords, which he picked mystery and action, I believe. Yeah, I think. Yeah, mystery and action. So I went, okay, actually, hold on. Let me see. What were the three? I gave him a choice of 3. What was the third? Hold on. Let me look. I have the email still. It was from here. And here it is. So, oh no, that was the other one. Where's the one where I gave him the options? Where's the options? Okay. Oh.
Nevertheless, the movie was, what was the first one?
Well, there were 3 options. One was Prey. One was Ronin.
Oh, you watched Prey. That's what it was.
We watched Prey, but I don't remember what the third one was. But
God, I still haven't seen that. God,
you're missing out. And he and his wife both thought that was very good. His wife never has seen a Predator movie, and she thought it was very good. And she got the whole thing. I'm like, good. As I say on the show, I'm like, the fact that you've never seen it, the other ones, and you still enjoyed this and didn't feel like you were lost or needed to see the other ones, I said, that's the mark of a good movie. A good sequel can succeed without you having to have known anything about the other ones. So
ideally, yeah.
yes. And the only things that really carry over are really the dreadlocks and the invisibility. Otherwise, it's not even really the same. You would not visually notice a lot of similarities. He's leaner and kind of bigger, or taller, but slimmer. His monstrosity is more pronounced in his face. He's more like a gymnast in many ways than the original Predator, which was more like a, beefcake.
Yeah, and remember, the original Predator, they intended that to be Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right. Oh, yeah. They originally intended it to be a large locust, which looked horrible. But then they went to Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well, I mean, he was wearing that suit and was like, this is stupid, and that's why he bailed. And it was stupid. If you see the pictures of it, it is ridiculous. That would have been a terrible film if they'd actually stuck with that design. Oh, boy. But anyway, so we watched Prey.
I actually think the Predator between Predator 1 and Predator 2, I think that Predator looks pretty similar.
The first two movies do, yes. I'm saying in Prey, they're like, he's not wearing the body net. His physique is very different. Even his gear, he does not have the shoulder cannon anymore.
Well, they're different people, so.
Well, not only that, but I mean, the Predator in the second movie has all the same gear. They just added things. But he's got the shoulder cannon. He's got a similar helmet. It's all very similar. This one, nothing is the same except for, I mean, he has blades, but they are more widened out. They're kind of more like a U shape, I guess you would say. They're wider. But he cloaks himself. But his helmet is a skull of some creature that magnetically attaches to his head, and the three beams to aim his wrist darts that come back is the three beams. But it's not a cannon. He basically shoots these super metal darts out, and they track to wherever the beams are, and then they return to his gauntlet, and he just reloads them and reuses them. So, yeah, like I said, the success is that it didn't matter that she had never seen any of the other films, and still got it all as entertaining. Like it.
So you derailed him for 3 hours.
Yes. Then we watched Yes, Madam, which he was not as much a fan of as I am. He found it to be very silly. Unfortunately, we had to watch the English dubbed version because he can't handle subtitles. So it's terrible. Why? The dubbing. They gave Cynthia Rothrock a British accent.
No, the dubbing is terrible. I'm just curious why he just didn't like it.
He just doesn't like subtitles. He and his wife don't like subtitles.
Interesting. Okay.
But I'm glad we did watch it because they cut weird things out of the English dubbed one. They replaced the opening. It's not a flasher. It's a robbery somewhere where a woman or a guy is dressed in drag ridiculously and sneaks by the cops.
Oh, they put different scenes in?
They put a different opening. But then it goes to the part where she's leaving and does the thing with the armored car. All the rest of that's the same. But then they cut out things. Like they cut out the Sammo Hung. He's not there at all. They cut all of that out.
Wow,
and then they chopped weird bits out of the movie. But literally 20 seconds here, 30 seconds there. Movie is still 87 minutes.
I wonder if they were just trying to tighten up for the American audience.
I think they thought Americans wouldn't get the humor of certain scenes. I really think
remember
that's
we're talking about, they are strange in that they go from so serious to so silly, like 0 to 100.
Yes.
So quickly.
Yeah. It's interesting. But so I was kind of glad I watched that because I'm like, oh, this is such an inferior version. Even if the dubbing was good, this would still be shit. But the dubbing's terrible. So yeah. Interestingly, the dubbed version is free to watch, but the subtitle version is not, which tells you something about the quality difference.
Because it's better. Yeah.
So and then we did the show, and yeah. So anyway, that's so on my drive back, I recorded for an hour in the car. I just talked for an hour about, I don't even remember, but I'm going to put that on the Patreon. The car noise wasn't that bad. You'll hear at the beginning if you listen to it where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be usable because I don't know if the car noise is going to be that bad. But I was able to dial it out with Audition enough.
Did you have a lot of coffee for this?
I had one of my energy drinks. I didn't have coffee. But,
okay.
I
was just wondering. I was wondering if you were like super caffeined up and you were just like.
Well, it was partially that, but it was also just a really fun because he live streams his show, so we did it live. And and his setup is so intricate. I mean, he has 4 cameras running at once with all these big lights. He's got about 4 million wires. He's like doing level. I mean, it's an impressive setup.
But he actually makes money off this, right?
Yeah, that, and he has background working in production like that, so he's had all this gear.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, his stuff is like pro level mics. Oh yeah. And so it was fun. You know, I was kind of charged up from it. So yeah, but funnily enough, I stopped recording right before.
Yeah.
Right before I hit 10 minutes of dead end traffic because of roadwork, which was not as fun. Except the wind was so intense, I thought there was a tornado coming. So it was a fun drive.
Well, you're back to slumming it here at the Ozone Nightmare.
Oh, that reminds me.
Yes.
Because he's listened to our shows, and he said you come off very normal. Compared
I'm
to
very
me.
normal. Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Because I said, well, you know, Lando's a wacko too. He's like, not in my experience. I'm like, oh, I guess compared to me, he wouldn't be.
Oh no, they just don't. No, it's because I still try to edit myself a little bit when we do the show.
I guess so, and I don't.
You still do. Listen.
Well, not.
When we when we play video games and we're not recording, things go one way, and when we are recording, they go a slightly different way.
Well,
it's more. There are jokes that can't be made. There are the areas we won't get into.
Well, there's areas that I try to preserve areas of your privacy, so there are certain things that I could come, but that's not editing. I mean, that's
Oh no, but that's just personal.
Courtesy.
Yeah, it's personal privacy editing. Yeah.
But what I mean is, I don't think I shave much of my. I don't make jokes that I think some people could genuinely be offended by, even if I don't think that they're necessarily offensive. But I do try to.
Not when we're recording, no.
No, because you and I know each other for 20 plus years, so we know.
Yeah. Well, we know when someone's not being serious.
Yeah, like I won't do my silly Spanish accent that I do sometimes on this because somebody might think I'm making fun of people who have Spanish or Latino backgrounds.
He's just making fun of me.
Right. Yeah. And that's just because
Which is hilarious because I don't have a Spanish accent, you bastard.
But also, no, you don't.
So you're making fun of my dad. That's really what it is.
That's what makes it funny.
No, but my dad. But the other thing is,
you and I don't have any really traumatic experiences that I have to worry about setting off.
No,
I don't know that that's true for everybody listening, and so out of respect for the fact that people have different lives, I won't make rape jokes on our show because it's not funny to somebody who's experienced it, obviously.
Yeah, the only thing that triggers me is fucking Aliens movies at this point.
Well, yeah. Well, specifically the newer ones, yeah.
So, well, good. You know what? I'm glad that I'm normal. I was worried about it, but now I don't have to be.
No. Compared to me, you're straight middle edge, man.
Good.
You're fine.
Good.
Yeah.
That's fine. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that's all I have as an opening. I think.
Okay.
Nearly 15 minutes later. Yeah.
I saw a bad movie.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. But not like bad fun. Like bad.
Tell me.
Where like you sit there and you go, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Title of film being?
I'll get there. So my wife gets sucked in by trailers, and she'll do this thing where we'll see a trailer for a movie pop up because they'll be like doing like a blitz of like ads, right? And she'll be like, "That looks fun," and I'll be like, "That's not going to be good." And she'll be like, "Oh,
before
we should
you
see
go
it."
on,
yeah.
This is yet another example where people are going to think this was scripted.
What?
But the movie I watched, based on something I saw that I never otherwise would have watched, we did not plan this. I'm just saying, there are times where it feels like we are kind of doing bits.
Did you watch a movie?
I did, based on a sort of non-trip. No, I'll do mine after yours. I'm just saying, this is not a bit. We don't set this stuff up. I'm just saying, because it happens a lot with us, where suddenly we have these weird mirrored experiences.
Listen, we are just in sync at times, I guess, but no, we don't script anything.
No,
I just show up.
Yep, me too.
So anyway, so my wife saw these trailers, and the thing is, she gets kind of caught up in like the blitz, and she's like, "We should see that," and I'm like, "It's not going to be good." So Apple's been blitzing Fountain of Youth. You seen trailers for this?
I've never even heard of it.
Oh
I
no,
don't
you
know
don't.
anything
You pay
Apple
for
does.
yeah, you pay for no trailers at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
the only thing I know Apple is blitzing is that F1 movie. God, they won't shut up about that one. You can't escape that, but that's about
well,
it.
they put
With
yeah.
Brad Pitt.
So either way, so this is John Krasinski and Natalie Portman and other people who I can't remember at this point. And it was basically kind of I think it's a Guy Ritchie movie, and it was presented as like a almost like a quasi Indiana Jones type flick, right? And you remember we were talking a while back about those second screen movies?
Yeah, movies that you
there's
kind of have on in the background, but you don't
Yeah, they're
necessarily
kind
pay
of
attention to
designed
them.
specifically not to pay attention to.
Yes.
I think I just watched one because there's so much shit that doesn't make any sense. Like they're pursuing the Fountain of Youth. That's fine. And
Oh, I saw a still image of this
Yeah,
because I remember seeing the
and
I
some
didn't know
of
what it
the-
was. I didn't care.
some of the action sequences are kind of fun, right?
Oh wow, it looks pretty
and
bad.
Yeah, and the thing is, Krasinski. Do you know? I think.
Natalie
you know when we did
Portman,
the.
what are you doing?
I
Oh,
know when we
no.
watched, and she's kind of annoying in this too. When we watched the movie that we both reviewed for tonight, I started to say that sometimes you see a role and you think it's written for somebody. I watched this movie and I thought to myself, Jesus, did Guy Ritchie have this role ready for Robert Downey Jr. and then just never film it? Like, I'd love to know, because the way Krasinski is acting, it's like he's trying to channel Robert Downey Jr. Like he's trying to channel that quick talking, just like hand wave. It was very Robert Downey Jr. But otherwise, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that just doesn't make any sense. In fact, before we recorded, my father-in-law, who saw the movie with us out of blue, was like, that movie didn't make any sense, right? He's like, and he was citing stuff that I hadn't even caught that made no sense either. Because like it's supposed to be a mystery, but like the mystery doesn't add up. It's one of those things where like we have all these clues and it's so crazy and look at all this stuff, and then you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, but how did you know to put this before that? Like, where did that come from? And then like this is a whole end sequence where I kept sitting there going, okay, this is a movie that's presented as a mystery, but it's like Indiana Jones. It's a mystery around something mystical, right? So the thing is, what are you going to do with that mystical at the end? Are you going to be one of those movies that goes, oh no, it was always just human superstition, it was never real, right? Or you're going to go the Indiana Jones route and go, it's fucking aliens, man. It is something. It's the Ark of the Covenant. And they try to go Ark of the Covenant with it. But then, like, the explanation makes no sense, where, like, the Vatican doesn't want anyone to find the Fountain of Youth because they're not ready.
Just so we're clear, this is a serious movie, right? Not a comedy.
No,
This isn't like Snatch, where it's comedic.
It's an action comedy. There are funny
So it's trying to be
bits
the Mummy.
it.
It's trying to be like the
Yes.
Mummy.
Oh, yes. It's very much trying to be the Mummy. Yeah.
I want to get the frame for it correct. All right,
Yeah, it's very much like that. But the thing is, like, the Vatican is sending people to try and kill Krasinski because they're like, oh, the world is not ready for this power that it has. But there's this whole thing in there where it's like, if you drink it, it will destroy that which you love to give you power. But then if you love nothing, the way they made it sound was that it will then give you ultimate power because you don't love anything but yourself. So you just get absolute power. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And then I was like, okay, well, the bad guy drank from the fountain and he has ultimate power, but now he seems to be aging, but now there's electricity. I was like, what's going on? And they're like, we have to leave. And they're basically like, just like almost closing the whole site in on itself. And I was like, great. So is the bad guy with ultimate power just locked in for eternity now? Like, what's going on? And I know that it's not a good thing when you get to an end of a movie and you go, what happened? What just fucking happened? This makes no goddamn sense. Because, like, say what you will about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. At the end of that movie, you know what? I know what happened. All the skulls got put together. The super dimensional being became one dimensional again and left, Earth or perhaps even this dimension. Okay, that makes sense. It's not necessarily good, but it makes sense to me. Right? With this movie, I don't know what the fuck just happened at the end. Did the bad guy get ultimate power because he was so selfish? And what does that ultimate power mean? And why is the Vatican feel that the world is not ready for that power, and all these details make no fucking sense. At times, I felt like the writing was being vague on purpose because they didn't want to have to figure it out. Really, what they wanted was a good MacGuffin. The mistake they made was then at the end being like, well, I guess we're going to have to show them with the MacGuffin. This is if at the end of Pulp Fiction they'd shown you what was in the suitcase, right? That everybody was fighting for. But, Quentin Tarantino is an intelligent director and said, hey, you know what? I'm not showing it to you. You don't need to see it. It's up to your imagination what it is. I like the theory that it's Marcellus Wallace's soul. I always thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it was not good. And like, I will admit that if you were watching this as a second screen movie, probably be just fine. You wouldn't really be paying attention anyway. You know that the bad guy did a bad thing. The good guy did a good thing. There's a car chase, some guns. Right. Okay. But then at the end, like, no one was punished. There's a cop who's pursuing Krasinski the whole movie because he's stealing paintings and doing all kinds of illegal shit. And at the end, it looks like the cop is just going to let him go. And I was like, wait a minute. It's like, he didn't do anything to warrant not being arrested. It's like, why isn't he being arrested? It's not good when I'm calling for the main character to be arrested, because not being arrested is a major plot hole. So, yeah, I realized quickly that this movie was definitely not made for me, and that it may in fact be one of these second screen movies that you're not supposed to pay attention to. You're supposed to watch it in drips and drabs while you're looking at your, Facebook feed, Instagram feed, TikTok feed. And while I'm on the fucking subject, I'm going to ask you if you've seen this, because I just reminded myself. Have you noticed people watching TV while they're driving on their phones?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I never saw this before, and in the last month, I've seen it 5 times. I saw a guy basically scrolling through TikTok at like 65 miles per hour on the highway.
Yeah, that's not new.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, oh, man. And the thing is, I just read an article recently about reaction time and speed, and how basically, was it at 70 miles per hour, if you
your reaction time
away,
like halves or quarters or whatever.
No, it's like that. It's like if you look away from the road, and there was some number, it was like a certain number of seconds, it like equals a football field of like travel. Yeah. Right? And they're like, that's the problem. Is like, if anything happens in that space of time where you're looking at your device or watching TV. But I mean, maybe they're making second screen movies for people that are driving. I have never. Maybe I'm just a boring person, but I have never, on a long car trip, stopped and thought, I could watch a movie. Like, not even out of one eye. I'm like, that just screams dangerous to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, Fountain of Youth, not a good movie, and Natalie Portman is kind of obnoxious in it. Like. It's sad because I like Natalie Portman and she could be very good, but like Krasinski's obnoxious. He's trying to be like an obnoxious Robert Downey Jr. Natalie Portman is obnoxious. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anybody in this movie that honestly, the bad guy comes off kind of fun. I liked him for a while, and then I was like, oh, he's the bad guy, isn't he? Which is there's a rich billionaire who's funding them. Played by I knew he was the bad guy because he was the fucking bad guy from not the prequels, the sequels. Remember the guy, the redhead from the prequels? What the fuck is his name? Who gives the big Nazi speech in the 3rd movie? Oh god, he has a horrible name.
The Star Wars prequels?
Yeah, the sequels. The sequels.
Oh, he's sequels.
He's like the redheaded guy who basically.
You know what? I barely remember those movies at all.
Yeah. Either way, yeah. So like he's been kind of loopholed into bad guy roles ever since the sequels, and I saw him in this movie and I was like, why are you here? And maybe this is the problem, is that I start.
You know what? Apparently, I was going to say he's been pigeonholed into bad movies. Period.
Well, I start meta analyzing the movie. Yeah. Which I know I shouldn't, because that's exactly, but it's the whole, if like a named actor shows up in a small role, you sit there and you go, are you the bad guy? Like, if you're watching this, I always used to see this with, was it Black Books? No, it was the one with Speeder. Spader, where he's the super criminal.
Blacklist,
right? If a named actor shows up in Blacklist, usually they did it.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't pay to have some no name be the criminal, right? It's like, there's one of those where Isabel Rossellini shows up, and I was like, she did it. She's the bad guy. My wife would be like, she just got here. And I'm like, nope, she did it. Like, you don't pay Isabel Rossellini to show up in your show unless she's got a good role. She did it. So I kind of knew he was the bad guy in Fountain of Youth pretty soon. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, oh, that's a shame because he's kind of fun. But yeah. So I was not impressed.
Well,
I'm sure that's not what you saw, right?
No. I would never have watched this. No.
You know what? I tried not.
I'm not. No. I understand. Look.
No. Listen. I tried not to. I'm in this situation. There is a strategy here where you are trying to not see a movie.
Yeah.
But you're also not trying to anger your partner.
Sure. No, I understand.
Where they're like, we should see this. And you're like, no. And you don't want to say no, like this is like, you don't want to question their judgment. So you just try to like,
you don't want to insult them.
Yeah, you're trying to taekwondo your way out socially out of the situation. And I just had nowhere to go.
Like, no, I don't think
yeah. No, I just had nowhere to go with this. I was like, fine, let's watch it. Sometimes it's better to watch it and have them sit there and go,
Sure.
man, I shouldn't pick movies. So yeah.
No, I understand.
It wasn't great. My wife didn't think it was great either, so.
Honestly, that's been my experience with everything I've tried out of the Apple anything with their TV stuff, outside of Severance, which I think is so stunningly good that it's really shocking, actually.
I like their documentaries. I mean, part of the reason why I started.
I'm not talking about documentaries. Is a different thing. I'm talking about.
That. Part of the reason I joined up is because they bought the rights to the Long Way Round show, which for me is a really fun travel show. And they bought the first 2 seasons, so you couldn't watch them anywhere else. And then they produced the 3rd season, and they just produced the 4th season. And I'm like, these are fun travel shows for me. Ewan McGregor and his friend Charlie Borman riding around on motorcycles, being delightful people. They are the. We watched an episode of it recently, and my in-laws are, like I said, they're in town, and my mother-in-law was like, this isn't going to be like one of those really bro-y shows like Top Gear or something like that. And I was like, no, actually, I think Ewan McGregor is the anti-bro. Like, when I watched that show, he is so nerdy and kind of like a sensitive person and very open to talking to people. And like, yeah, he feels, watching that show is very much like the anti-bro motorcycle travel show for me.
Right. Yeah.
But Apple TV, so stuck with it.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. I've watched a couple. I've watched a few things. I haven't watched Silo yet. I have heard Silo's very good, but it's not done yet either. So it's another one where I'm waiting. Severance. The right people kept saying no. This is, even if this doesn't go on, this is unusually good for something that's done this way.
Did Ben Stiller write that as well?
I don't know.
Or he just directed it?
I don't. No. He's definitely more involved than just directing, but I don't know. Right. I think there's many writers. I don't think it's one writer.
Well, anyway, he's the showrunner, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he is the heart of it. There's no doubt about that. Yes, he is kind of in charge of it. He is the showrunner, producer, blah 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 blah. Let's see. No, Dan Erickson is the creator. That name sounds familiar. Why do I know that name? Do I know that name? I don't know that name. God, he's never done anything else. Wow, I don't know that name. All right, let's see. No, I don't. It seemed familiar, but then again, it could just sound like another name that I've heard of. Where's the what do you call it on it? Where's the thing where it tells you everybody involved? But no, he is very involved. Here we go. He did direct 11 episodes, so he has directed quite a few. He has not written a single episode, so he is not involved in all of the writing. Yeah. He is on a long list of producers for it.
Oh, there you go. So he's just involved in it then, and directed.
Yeah, and I mean, he may have shepherded it to Apple for all I know. He may have a good, because that's like Seth Rogen's doing the same thing there, where apparently he has, for somebody who I can't stand seeing in anything, he apparently is one of these people who just dazzles everybody in the executive suite possible, so he can just make whatever he wants. That's why he keeps showing up in things, even if it doesn't make any sense. So, I'm just saying, I've never been the biggest fan of his. I'm still not. It's fine. Good for him, man. You know, take the money where you can get it. But yeah, the other stuff I've watched, I watched that Tom Hanks submarine movie, whatever it was called.
Oh,
fine.
Yeah, the Greyhound or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. And it was fine.
Yeah,
but nothing about it. Nothing about it.
It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks is, he's like a
he did a
he's
robot
like a piece
movie with them too.
Of cured 2x4. Like, it's gonna work, but you got to do something with it. And I don't blame him. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure he got paid a shit ton by Apple. Good for him. But the movie itself was like, It's like K-9 the Widowmaker. I only really watched that because I like Harrison Ford. But the movie itself...
Oh, my God, that movie. That movie's painful.
It's not a great movie, but I watch it now and again.
No, it's... Oh, my God, really? Oh, my God. Gee, you have more stamina than I do in that respect. I watched that movie
I watched it probably
once.
4 times.
That movie to me was exhausting to watch. Now, it's important. I think it's an important movie that people should see for what it depicts.
No, I have that. I have battered moviegoer syndrome. I keep saying, no, it'll be better this time. And it isn't.
He only hits me because he loves me.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that movie is hard. It's a hard watch.
it is. That's what I mean. I've only watched it 4 times in my whole life.
Only 4. But that's exactly it. It's like 4 times. Like I've only caused that level of distress to myself 4 times. It's okay.
I owned it for a while, and then I went, why?
No,
and I sold it. So
yeah, that's good. It's good. You shouldn't have that movie.
No, sorry, I didn't sell it. I
accessible.
put it into one of those community libraries. I don't even know if anybody ever took it.
That's fine.
But I passed it on.
And that's not like it's not a bad movie. I want to be very clear about that. I think it's a very well done movie.
No, it's almost worse. I wish it was bad because then you can at least laugh at it. Instead, it's just
not even.
I wish it was better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You wish, because you always wanted to be Hunt for Red October. All right.
Well,
every submarine movie.
Actually, all right. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
there's an inherent irony to what I just said, because it's a movie about a tragedy.
Yes.
It is a horrific waste of life.
Yes.
So the better version of that is Chernobyl, the series, which is one of the most heartbreaking things you'll ever watch.
I've seen
exceptional,
clips, and I don't know if I can.
I keep wanting to rewatch it because it's so well done, but I don't.
It's profound.
It is, and I'm like a Chernobyl hound, so it's like appealing to me. But I'm like, this is so hard to watch that I can't get myself into the mindset for it.
It's continuously watching a car wreck in slow mo.
Yeah, but
and you're like, I know the steering wheel is going to go through your chest and out your back, but I can't stop watching. Yeah,
that's it. So if K-9 was that good, I still probably wouldn't watch it because it would be too heartbreaking to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the irony is, by being mediocre, I can watch it and just go, somehow. I mean, don't get me wrong, when those guys die, it's still bad. But because everything around it is kind of beige.
This is the problem of like good art, right? Really good art. Really good art breaks your heart. It's so good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like experiencing it is almost too much. You need to like look away. Yeah. And that's why I like paintings. I don't mind looking at a picture of a painting or something like that, because looking at a picture of a painting and seeing the painting are two fucking things completely. I think we talked about this when we were talking about taking photos of things. Like, I love Klimt. Seeing Klimt in person is a profound experience. But seeing a picture of Klimt, it's pretty. I like it. I know I like it enough to go see the original. But then when I see the original, it's like, holy shit. I think I told you about, was it Flaming June? The painting Flaming June?
Yeah.
The
yeah.
girl who's like,
we
yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah, I've encountered that painting twice in my life by accident, which is astronomically very weird.
Sure.
But every time I've seen that painting in person, I usually see it like down a hallway or something like that, and that orange yellowy fabric, it just fucking explodes, and you look at
Right.
it and I go, oh my god, this is some of the most gorgeous color work I've ever seen. Right? And because of that, we have a picture of it in our house. But the picture you look at and you're like, oh yeah, it's pretty. But then when you see it, you're like, oh man, like that is fucking gorgeous. And that's
Yeah.
the nature of art. There's movies that you think about them, you talk about them, you watch clips from them because you like to remember certain scenes.
Sure.
But to sit down and watch it, like, I know you don't like Interstellar. I like Interstellar. And you know what? I have a hard time at that end sequence. When he walks in that room and he sees his daughter as an old woman, like, I fall apart. And I know it's because I'm a parent, and that doesn't honestly it doesn't matter. It's whatever reason art hits you. Some art just hits you. Interstellar hits me, and so like I want to see it again, but I don't know if I'm desensitized enough to not have that scene hit me like a train.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good that there's good art. And I think it's honestly good that there's bad art because sometimes you have movies that are just bad enough that you can kind of enjoy them without getting thunderstruck by them. Like, John Wick is a really fun movie. I don't think it's profoundly beautiful. Therefore, I can watch it and not have it fucking change my day.
Sure.
Yeah,
I get it.
Whereas like there's other movies that you watch like Schindler's List. I know that's like an easy one to go to. But that whole end sequence where Liam Neeson breaks down about all the people he could have saved for like the price of his watch or like any number, I mean, it's just so fucking heavy.
It is.
And you're like, I can't watch that often because it's so much. I need to go watch Taken because it's not as profound.
Right. No, I understand.
And for me, I think there's some directors who just want to make like that kind of profound art. And there's some directors that are happy to just make those in between movies. Listen, I can watch Dogma. Kevin Smith's Dogma is a great movie. I have a lot of fun watching it. It hits a nice middle ground. There's some kind of profound ideas, but it's not going to change the way I look at the world. Right? Whereas, I'll be honest with you, I still think about Megapolis. I don't know when the hell I'll watch that thing again, but man, it stays with me.
It does.
Like, and that's like, that director, he doesn't want to make lighthearted films, So, yeah, I mean, listen, either way, fucking, I understand the whole point now of why they're making these second screen movies. I just think it's bad. It's the whole, you guys don't have attention spans, so let's make these movies for you. But it's like, well, the rest of us who have an attention span are like, it's not very good. And I think I said to you at some point when these start taking over the rest, like when like there's that point where you sit there and go, none of these movies are for me anymore.
Right.
I mean,
there's
and
that.
granted, there's a whole history of movies for us to watch, so I don't think we'll ever run out because we keep discovering shit that we never caught in the first place.
Oh boy, do we.
But that said, I do worry at one point that I won't have a reason to watch anything new anymore. Because everything will be, I mean, like, you think Marvel movies are bad now. Imagine when Marvel figures out how to like lower the budget and do second screen superhero movies. Like the West Coast Avengers. Yeah. So much dribble.
Well, I mean,
And
the problem
take it away
is,
with
I
your
think
review
there's
then.
a lot of that. Oh, that's all you had. Okay.
No, I didn't. Listen, I didn't have anything. I was just talking to you
fine.
about the state of movies and art.
I think the last time, or one of these times, you had like 3 or 4 things. You were like bang, 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 bang. So I was just checking.
Well, yeah, because sometimes I absorb more shit than others.
I'm just making sure that I was giving you the space to say. But moving on, I also read a book.
Thank you for giving me the space.
Yeah, I was.
Did you read a book?
Yeah.
Oh no,
no.
You're saying
I'm saying for you because sometimes you'll do that. You'll be like, "Well, I watched that." But moving on from that, I read a book too, and that was actually good. So I was waiting to see if that's where we were going. Okay, so speaking of seeing a trailer to watch something that ordinarily I would not have watched. This isn't really a trailer per se, but I don't know that I've ever said this. I don't know if I ever talked about this on the show specifically. But one of the things I do with, with YouTube is because it is so monumentally bad at figuring out what I actually... Well, I should say there's two sides of why YouTube sucks. One is that it has no idea what I actually want to watch. That's the first thing. The other is I watch one thing because one element of one video looks interesting and it thinks I want everything on that topic and won't shut up about it for like at least a month.
I don't want this at all. None of these logarithms help me. They get in my fucking way. I don't want more of what I already found.
Yes.
I'm looking for other shit. Your intelligent software is so fucking stupid, it gets in the way of my research.
I will tell you what I wish I could do.
Yeah.
Because there's three things I need out of YouTube. Three things.
Okay.
Three feeds, I should say. One is, anybody I've subscribed to, I want to see whatever they've recently put out. And I will decide whether to watch it or not. That should be one feed.
Well, isn't that just subscribing to them?
Well, it is, but it doesn't have a feed. You know how it has the rows of videos, and they all have stupid subjects?
Yeah.
You know, okay, I don't know how your app looks. Mine, basically, there's a row of icons on the left, and then it has rows of videos going to the right. All these boxes going to the right. And they have titles, music videos, gaming, whatever. There's nothing there that I've ever seen that says your subscriptions, and that's all it is, and has it chronologically newest to oldest. I would like that, which you can't, as far as I know, do. You have to go into your subscriptions.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong,
I don't think they want you to have that kind of control, though.
No, I agree, and that's why fuck YouTube. You. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Absolutely. Fuck YouTube, indeed.
Yes. And then the other two I want are recommended, which I'm fine with that feed being whatever YouTube thinks I want to see if that was all they did it in. And then recently uploaded. There's a difference between new to you, which I despise.
Are you watching it? Are you watching this? Is this on like the PS5? This
Apple
format?
TV. Apple TV.
Okay. Yes. This is similar to the PS5 format.
Yeah, they're relatively similar on everything.
Yeah. So I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want new to you. That's fucking useless. What I want is recently uploaded because that's chronological, like something an hour ago, 2 hours ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Because new to you could be 4 fucking years old and I don't care. Plus, it has nothing to do with anything. So I wish I could just set those 3 feeds and see nothing else unless I go looking for it. So what I have to do instead to stop from being spammed with shit I don't care about, because that's what it does, is I have to open up. I have the DuckDuckGo browser set to 4,000% privacy mode. Signed into nothing. It blocks everything it can, which does break a lot of websites, but YouTube it doesn't for some reason. It has a duck player.
Oh, and they get so annoyed, don't they? Where they're like, you can't come here.
Well, there's ways around that.
We want cookies.
You have the right extensions. You can see everything.
Honestly, the internet is like Cookie Monster at this point, where it's just like, I want cookies, cookie, you know, and you're like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Cookie Monster Internet. Good title. All right. That's good. No, I like that. Because it won't make any sense unless you listen. Not internet. Internet. There we go. All right. Anyway, so I open the DuckDuckGo browser with the duck player, and then I wander and look at things, because then it doesn't have any way to shoot it back. Right? So then if I just want to look for, I don't know, I look like Synthwave up. I don't need a feed of every Synthwave music video ever made, because honestly, 50% of them are all the same. It's the same goddamn shit they pulled off Adobe stock and just did a looping video. I'll look on Bandcamp for that, but I do like to just see, because there are a couple of Synthwave artists who do actually invest in making videos, and like Carpenter Brute is one, makes really good, high production videos because he knows people. Or they, I don't know if it's more than one person, whatever. So I like to see those because the original stuff is actually interesting, and I'd like to support it by having a view of it. But I happened to see a song that was, I believe it's called, hold on, Ladies of the 80s, I think is the title of the song.
Wait, hold on. Ladies of the 80s?
Is the title of the song, yeah.
That's funny. I like that.
Hold on, I want to make sure I've got that right. Is it Of course, now I can't find it. Maybe it's not. I think it
80s.
is Ladies of the 80s. Interesting. Wait a minute. Where? Huh. Hold on. It'll be in my history. Because I do want to actually... It's a fairly good song. I don't think it's a great song, but it's a good song. So I would like to actually get it correct so that people could look it up.
It's a fine song?
It is a fine song. Where's the history thing? Is there a thing that says history somewhere?
To Ladies of the 80s while you...
Hold on. I'm trying to... But where's the damn history? Here it is. History of you all. Hold on. I'll tell you. It was a little while ago. Actually, I think I rewatched it not too long ago now that I see. Okay, it is Babes of the 80s, sorry, by an artist named Lebanon Hanover. And the remix is called the She Passed Away remix. Holy crap. So the entire long thing, Lebanon Hanover, Babes of the 80s, She Passed Away remix. There you go. So I saw this, and there's the thumbnail is, I think it's Anya Taylor-Joy, right? That's how you're supposed to say her name?
I thought it was Anya, but that's whatever.
Okay, Anya, fine, whatever. Anya Taylor-Joy, did I mispronounce it? The 5, sorry. Anya Taylor-Joy, it's a picture of her with this neon lighting, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch this, because for all I knew, she's relatively young and newish, so maybe she made this before she got big. I'm like, oh, maybe she was in one of these things, because Synthwave's been around for a while now, so it's possible. So I start watching it, and it very quickly becomes clear that this is not an original video. This is a movie that's been chopped up into this, because the giveaway is that all the words are backwards, because if you reverse video on YouTube, you can escape the censorship thing. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, what is this? And
this sounds like Pet Shop Boys.
It's good though, right? I mean, it's a good song.
I like Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, so do I. I love the Pet Shop Boys.
It's like a synth Pet Shop Boys.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, it's a good song. It's worth hearing. So I will probably actually get it. I'll probably purchase the single or the album. I might listen to the album on Bandcamp and see how it is. It's good enough that I would do that. But anyway, I watched this video and I'm like, okay, this is a movie. And then I see your boy, Matt Smith, and I'm like, okay. And he's playing a scumbag. And I'm like, well, he's good as a scumbag. So that's a positive.
Does he have a shaved head?
No.
Okay.
No, he's got his like pompadour thing happening. I mean, it's, he looks like Doctor Who, except he's in a suit.
Oh, I know that. There's a movie he did a while back, like when he was first trying to break out of Doctor Who, where they shaved his head and he looked.
No, it was not that. This one was from 2021. It's called Last Night in Soho. And it's by Edgar Wright, the guy who did Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver.
Oh, I think, hold on, I have heard of this.
Yeah, so I remember hearing the title, and I remember reading some things about it, but then when I saw the trailer, I had no interest. But then I watched this, and I thought, oh, I thought this was set in the 60s, not the 80s. Which it is.
Isn't she having back flashes or something?
Well, she's not. The other woman, Tomlinson McKenzie, I think is Thomas Lynn. She's got a different name, Tomlinson, whatever it is. She's having, yes, what happens is this woman, this young woman who lives out in the British countryside with her grandmother, who is psychic. They establish that right away because she sees her mother, and her mother appears in a mirror and smiles, and she's like, oh, it's good news, isn't it? And she gets accepted into a prestigious design college in London. And so, and her grandmother says, oh, have you seen your mother lately? Like, because she says something about, your mom went to London and she couldn't handle it, and she didn't even have your gift, meaning that they are clearly acknowledging that she has some kind of psionic power to see things, like precog, whatever. This is not imagination. The grandmother knows it. The precog thing, when she says it's good news, it is good news. Like, that's right in the first 10 minutes of the movie. But this young girl is obsessed with the 60s, specifically like the London of the 60s, which apparently Edgar Wright is as well. So that's kind of the funny bit about the music video to a song about the 80s, but it's using clips of a movie set in the 60s. It doesn't matter. It's just a side trivia thing for myself. And so she goes to London, and she immediately is put into a room with a very snobby kind of Mean Girls type. So she decides she's going to get her own place, and she finds a boarding house where this older woman is only going to rent to women, doesn't want, like no men after 8, don't make noise, don't smoke, and that's okay for her because she's from the country. So she's not used to all the excesses of the city, so it's not a problem. So she says, because she's like, no, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Like, this is not going to be an issue for me. In fact, I want to kind of get away from that. That's what all the girls in the dorm are doing, and that's not me. I just want to design my 60s dresses and just go to college and be a designer. Like, that's the whole thing. So, going along, and she starts, when she's going to sleep, she puts on records of old songs from the 60s to sleep to, which she did when she was in the countryside. But now, when she goes to sleep, she starts time traveling, psychically, astral planing, to the 60s. And she sees Anya Taylor-Joy is a young woman who's a singer who comes to London trying to make it. And she goes to a club, and she's very confident in herself, and she's, trying to get a job. And the bartender's like, well, there's no way you're going to land a job here right away. I don't care how confident you are. But if you want to talk to that guy, pointing to Matt Smith, he manages young women, and he can help you if you really, if you work at it, he'll get you to be on that main stage. And so she goes to Matt Smith, and, they have this little thing, and they're going back and forth. It seems very romantic and blah, blah, blah. And of course, I already know where this is going. Because Matt Smith, to me, is better as a villain than he'll ever be as a good guy. He is a pure scumbag. He could play it so well. And sure enough, I'm like, this dude is going to turn out to be a pimp. Sure enough, he turns out to be a fucking pimp. That's what it is. So he suckers them in with the, oh yeah, I'll get you on stage. Because he brings her to the stage and he lets her sing. By the way, that by itself is worth seeing, is the clip of her singing. Because she is actually singing. When she does this a cappella thing to Downtown, the song, I thought, wow, they really did a great job lip syncing, and they even got the tone and the kind of distance echo right. Like, it sounded so good. So I looked it up, and no, she's singing. That's why. She's got a beautiful voice. She should start cutting records. There's a lot of people who can't sing for shit, and they make records. She should be making records. In any event, so she sings, and they're like, all right, we got you a job. And so then Ellie wakes up. Ellie's the country girl. Wakes up. And she's going to class, and, she's just trying to make it, and she just feels very out of place. And she meets this guy, and he, kind of takes a shine to her, and, and says, yeah, I feel out of place too. And, is trying, but she's very kind of closed in, doesn't have all the social stuff down. And so then she goes to sleep the next night, and sure enough, she goes back. And, now she's back at that club. And, they're announcing an act, and the act opens up, and it's a different woman, and she sees that Anya Taylor-Joy is basically like a Hooters girl, effectively, like dancing and showing her ass off, and she's kind of sad about it, and obviously Anya Taylor-Joy is not happy either, and so now it becomes this thing where she starts getting obsessed, like trying to figure out what happened to her, like why is this happening, so she keeps wanting to go to sleep. So like the guy says, you have any plans tonight? She's like, well, yeah, I do actually. You see her just go to bed early, so that she can time warp back and see what's happening. And it becomes very clear.
That's weird when you're like, I need to go to bed.
Well, he says, do you have plans tonight? She says, oh, yeah, I do, actually. And the next thing you see is she goes to bed and puts a record on. And then that time warps her. And, obviously now it starts seeping over into the waking world. Like, she's seeing her in mirrors and stuff like that. And her grandmother's calling her, and she's concerned. And now she, bleaches her hair blonde to look like, the character's name is Sandy. That's the Anya Taylor-Joy's character is Sandy. And so she bleaches her hair and kind of has it styled that way. And she buys a jacket kind of like what Sandy. So she's starting to do like the single white female thing where she's mimicking her, but not.
Well, she's spending time. Is she in the psyche of the girl when she's there, or is she watching from a remote?
She's well, okay, there are parts where she seems to kind of warp in and out, but most of the time she's observing. Like if let's say Sandy and a guy are sitting in the mirror, Ellie's in the mirror looking. Okay, but then there's points where
she's in her.
Well, she's her reflection at first, but then she seems to actually be first person. So a lot of it in the beginning is like third person. Like she's looking at Sandy.
To some degree, this is almost like consciousness bleed,
Yeah, that's it. That's what starts happening. Is it starts bleeding over. Like now she sees Matt Smith talking to her and not Sandy, and he's like, "Look, you're going to entertain this gentleman because this is what's going to get you. You said you want to do whatever, and of course you know where this is going." And so there's these sequences where she's sitting with these guys, and it's clear they're just soliciting her for sex, until she gets to one because the repetition is almost Aronofsky-like, where they're like, well, what's your name? And she gives a name, and they say, wow, that's a lovely name, and then pushes a drink towards her. Next night, what's your name? She gives a different name. That's a lovely name, pushes the drink to her over and over and over and over. And they're all saying the same thing until she gets to this one guy who says, I think you're too good for this. And she says, what, you're a cop? He's like, yeah, I'm a cop. And I've seen this before. And I'm telling you, get out now. Because what you're going to end up is, this is going to be your life. So I'm trying to tell you now, trying to warn you. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And she kind of blows him off. And so in the present, because she's been getting her hair styled, buying all these clothes, this shit is expensive. So she has to get a job at a bar. And it's, it's like a bar in London. So and she's working in and she's doing fine. But then Terrence Stamp, good old Terrence Stamp, shows up and is kind of like looking at her and, says, boy, you look familiar to me. And like, it's just not really following her around.
Is Terrence Stamp playing old Matt Smith?
Right. So that's the thing, right?
God,
nobody refers to him. Yeah. It's so, and people are like, oh yeah, we hear he used to be a real ladies man, blah, 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 blah. And so, okay. And he's just kind of showing up and kind of keeping track of, like, she leaves one of her drawings, which is basically Sandy in a dress that she wants to make this dress. And he picks it up and he says, this looks really familiar. So do you. Because again, she's dressed and kind of not really looks like her, because Anya Taylor-Joy has like an alien face in a good way, but she's got those big eyes, like anime eyes. She does. She's got giant anime eyes. She should have been that Battle Angel Alita. Jesus Christ. But in any event, so he like hands her back that, and so now she's seeing that Matt Smith is getting more violent. And so she's also kind of trying to not sleep now. She's doing the Nightmare Before Elm Street thing where she's like, well, I can't sleep, because now she's seeing like faceless men that are showing up as like phantoms and stuff. So it's starting to fuck with her actively in her waking life.
But if she doesn't listen to the records, will she still go in? Or is it now gotten so heavily into her head?
No, now it's happening no matter what's going on, where she's starting to see things. But importantly, she never sees her mother, because her grandmother keeps asking her, because she's concerned. She knows something's off. She's like, have you seen your mother lately? And she's like, no, I haven't. I'm not lying. She hasn't been here, which makes sense, because nothing good. This is not good. What's happening is not good. So I think that's the grandmother trying to sense how much trouble she's in. So goes along. And finally there's a point where the guy who is, trying to kind of talk to her, and he's being very nice. He's not being overly forward. He says, maybe we can do something tonight. And she finally says, yeah, you know what? I don't want to go home and go to sleep. Let's do something tonight. He's like, oh, great. There's a party. Let's go to the party. We can go to this party. And they go, and I kept waiting for him to be some kind of scumbag. But I gotta tell you, I love that guy, because he's one of those people who you would want for somebody like this, because he is truly, purely just concerned about her. Like, he does want to date her, but he never becomes a creep or a scumbag or anything, which is great. I love that character. So they go to this party, and they're having a good time, and the bitchy mean girl brings her and the guy a drink. And right after she does, she starts seeing those phantoms everywhere, and she freaks out and runs. And the guy kind of chases after her and finds her and says, what's going on? She's like, I don't know what's happening to me. Like, she's starting to tell him something's wrong. I'm seeing these things. I don't know what's going on, but I know I'm different from everybody else, and I don't know what to do. He's like, hey, I'm different too. I don't fit in either. I understand. You can talk to me. He's like, do you want to go somewhere else? We don't have to stay at this party. If you don't want to be there, let's not be there. Where do you want to go? And she says, well, can we just go back she says, can you just come back to my room with me? And she says, I don't want to sleep, but I want to go home, but I can't go to sleep. And he's like, all right, well, I can keep you up. And, they kind of laugh about it. So they go back, they start fooling around. And then she looks up, and even though her room does not have a mirror on the ceiling, Sandy's did. And she sees Matt Smith with a knife over Sandy, trying to stab her. And then he starts stabbing her. She starts freaking out, which, of course, the woman who owns the house, who said no guys after 8, hears her shrieking, says, what's going on? The guy panics. He's done nothing wrong, but she's flipping out. And he's like, what? Because she's screaming, get off her. And he's like, get off. Yeah. I'm not on you. What are you talking about? I'm what? And so he doesn't know what's going on, but she's just going berserk. And so he's like putting his pants on because the woman's banging on the door. He backs into a mirror and breaks it. And he's like stepping on the glass. And the woman like busts the door open and he runs out. And the woman says, all right, we're going to discuss this tomorrow, but did he hurt you? Do you want me to call the police? And she says, no, because the vision ends. But now she's seen Sandy get murdered. So she goes to the police and says, I have these visions and I saw this woman get murdered.
That's always a good start.
Right. Well, interestingly, there's a male and a female cop. The male's like, uh-huh. And the female officer is like, no, I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm listening to what you're saying, but do you know what Sandy's last name is? And she says, no, I've never heard them say her last name. So she's like, she says, I know she was a young woman who came here as a singer and got killed. And the female officer says, do you know how many young women have been murdered in this city? She's like, I'm not saying I don't believe you. I want to look into this. If this happened, I want to find out. But you're going to have to give me something more than, young woman got killed in London in the 60s or whenever. She doesn't even know specifically when. So she's like, all right, fine. I'll go to the library. You have my contact info. I'll see if I can find her. And so she goes to the library, and the guy shows up, and he says, I'm sorry about whatever. And she's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. And again, he's apologizing. He didn't do shit. Like, I really fucking like this guy. So I'm like, he's going to get killed. Number one, he's a nice guy. Number two, he's a young black guy. I'm like, this fucker is dead. Nice. Yeah, right? I mean, that's what sucks, because he is trying to help her. Legitimately, he's not. Because she says, you're going to think I'm nuts. I'm seeing things, right? I'm crazy, right? And he's like, I'm not saying you're crazy. My aunt says she sees spirits all the time. She's not crazy, and she sees ghosts. So if you're telling me you're seeing this, what can I do? He says, all I want to do is what I can do to help you. And I'm like, oh, this fucking poor guy. This poor guy's fucking dead. So they go to the library, and they're looking through all this stuff, and she's looking and looking, and she's finding a lot of news stories about men getting killed, but not many with details about young women getting killed, which I'm like, interesting, right? Going on, and then suddenly the library is filled with all the faceless phantom guys, and she freaks, or not faceless, but like their faces are like smeared. I don't know how else to put it. And she freaks out and runs. Yeah. And so she freaks out and runs. And so the police, she gets back to the place, and the woman, the boarding house woman is there, and she says, yeah, the cops came by. And she says, you know what? I can't stay here. I have to leave. I can't be in this situation. I'm losing my mind. And I don't know what's going on, but I know I can't be here anymore. And the guy drove her there, and the guy's like, I can drive you. And he's like, and she's like, yeah, but I don't, there's no way I can get out of London tonight. He's like, I'll drive you out. If you need to leave, I will get you out of here. Go get your stuff. I will drive you to the countryside. Whatever. It's no problem. And she says, wait, you have a car? And he's like, well, yeah, because I drive here from South London. So yeah, I have a car. But it's like the idea that nobody in London has a car. So she's sort of surprised because nobody else has a car. He's like, no, I have a car. But again, he's just like, I will get you out of here. I believe you're having a problem. Can I get you out of the problem? Let me help you. I'm like, oh, fuck. It's going to be a car accident. Like, he's going to get rammed. Or Terrence Stamp is going to come and fucking drive a cane into his skull. Or what the fuck?
Yeah, or she's going to kill him, right?
Right. But then she starts to think that Terrence Stamp is Matt Smith. Because she starts putting together everything people said about him.
Yeah.
And the fact that he used to be a ladies' man, and like that he says he knows her, she looks familiar to him. So she's like, wait, maybe I can catch him. So I'm going to go to the bar, and I'm going to kind of try to get him to confess something, and I'll record it with my phone, very, very slyly. So she puts her phone down under the bar, and she's got it recording, and she starts talking to him. And she's, I've heard you're a ladies' man. He's like, oh, I still am a ladies' man. He's like, no, I wasn't, not was, honey, I still am. And she's talking, and she starts asking him more specific questions. He starts getting like suspicious. And there's a part where, and then he finally says, you know what? I'm kind of tired of this line of questioning. I'm just going to leave. And she starts chasing after him, and she's like, you killed her. I know what you did. And he says, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't kill anybody. He says, the young woman you're talking about is exactly where she wanted to be. And she starts shrieking at him, and he turns around to yell, and he gets hit by a car and gets killed. And everybody comes out of the bar, and she's looking at him, and the woman says, oh no. She's like, this is gonna be terrible because he's an ex-cop. And she says, an ex-cop? And then realizes that the reason Terrence Stamp knew all this stuff is because he was the guy who told her to get out.
Oh.
So he was the cop, not Matt Smith. So now she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So then she goes back to the guy and she's like, all right, I don't know what the hell's happening, but I have to leave. I'm like, I was wrong about this. Shit is now people are getting killed. I just got to get out. So they go to the place and she says, you got to stay here because it's after 8. You can't come in. She's pissed enough. She's like, but if I'm not back in 15 minutes, come check on me. So she goes in. She says to the woman, I have to talk to you. I have to leave. And she's like, okay. She's like, calm down. The police came by. This woman officer is very concerned about you, so sit down. And she's like, by the way, there's a letter that came for you. I accidentally picked it up. It's in my mail. Go get it. And she says, I'm going to make tea. She goes to make tea. So she's looking. She goes to find the letters. And I right away saw that the top envelope said Alexandra Collins, as in the old woman's name. But they do it so quick that most people, I guess, miss that. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, the old woman is Sandy. She's not dead. So what the fuck is happening? And so she finds this letter and she's reading it. Has
Sandy been killing men?
So, yes. So what happened is, so she sits down and she's like, yeah, I wish you hadn't gone to the cops though, because now they're going to come looking. So I can't let you leave. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, I saw Sandy get killed. And then she looks over and she sees the picture of Anya Taylor-Joy. And she's like, wait a minute. How can that be? I saw you get killed. And she says, well, I did die in that room where you stay 1,000,000 times. Every time a man would be forced on me, I died every night. So what she was seeing was the rapes and what was being done to her as murder. And she says, there was a point where I decided I couldn't take it anymore. So I just started luring them in and killing them and burying them in the walls underneath the concrete. Like, she's got bodies everywhere. Because she had said something earlier about in the summer, you'll have to stop up the pipes because the smell of the sewer will get to you. It wasn't the smell of the sewer. It was the smell of the bodies rotting. So there's all these old bodies in there. And she says, you know, London is a terrible place. And this is what it did to me. And she's like, I either was going to let them kill me, which they kind of did, or I was going to start killing them. And so then she's like, and now I have to kill you. And so right then the guy knocks on the door and she's like, God damn it. Now I have to kill him too. And so she goes and Ellie's trying to get up and she falls over and she happens to hit the ashtray with a cigarette in it. And it goes into a box of records and starts on fire. So the guy comes in and he says, I'm just checking out Ellie. She came in to get her stuff. Can I come in? She's like, oh yeah, come on in. And he comes in, and then he sees Ellie stumble out of the room. But before he could do anything, Sandy stabs him with a knife in the gut. And I'm like, fuck. So he collapses. And then Ellie manages to stumble up the stairs, and she's like shrieking, and now the house is starting to go on fire. And like now she's seeing Sandy like warping between old and young. And she's like, I didn't want to become this. This is what they did to me. This is what they made me into. And I'm not going to jail, so I can't let you talk to anybody. This is just how it has to be. The house is burning, but she's so like out of it because, you know, she's completely traumatized. But they end up in the room and she manages to close the door. Ellie closes the door on her. And then all these, the phantom men starts breaking out of the walls and they grab her. And all the time that they've been like yelling at her, you couldn't understand what they were saying. And then when they grab her, they kind of come into focus for a bit. And they're saying, help us. You have to tell somebody what she's done to us. We're trapped here. If you don't kill her, we'll never be able to rest. So all of them are phantoms that are haunting London because they were murdered by Sandy. Right? So now I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
But they weren't, hold on, but they weren't rapists. They were basically just...
Well, they weren't rapists. They were prostitutes, but she was clearly...
Yeah, so they weren't exactly good people either. Got it.
They were not, yes, they were not pure rapists in the traditional sense in that they didn't force her down. They left her money afterwards.
They were rapists in that human trafficking way.
Well, because they knew that she was being told this is how you'll get a gig, and she was never going to get a gig. So they knew what was going on. So in that way... It was, I guess, I don't know. I mean, the morality, you can debate it. And that's, I think the point of it is you are supposed to kind of, the morality line jumps around at the end because when they're saying help us, you know, she did murder them and some of them may have not necessarily known. But then again, the way they were acting, they knew. You know what I mean? It's very clear that what we don't know is if there was a point where she just started luring men in and actively killing them.
Yes,
there's no way to know that.
Was there a point where where it went beyond her being a victim and into her now being the predator?
Based on how many phantoms there were more men killed than we ever saw in the club taking advantage of her. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But on the other hand, you do have to wonder what the psychic toll of being forced to do this, being, kind of...
It's terrible. It destroys you.
Yeah. I mean, this is not an uncommon story element. A woman who was abused goes crazy.
I'm not saying... It's an interesting gray zone where basically you don't really know who to feel bad for at the end.
Yes. Of all things, it reminded me of my favorite Punisher story, which is where there's somebody killing cabbies, and he goes undercover as a cabbie. Sure, it's a man. Positive it's a serial killer.
It's the woman, right?
And it's a woman who was raped because a cab didn't stop for her. So she decided to kill all cabbies. And he says, wait a minute, though. That one guy did this. I would have helped you. And she's like, it doesn't matter. You're all the same. If you didn't stop, if he didn't stop, nobody would stop. You know how many were probably raped because nobody stopped for them because it was, a dark alley or just they didn't want to stop. So I don't care. I'm just going to kill every man I see driving a cab. Yes, that's murder, but you don't necessarily not understand it. Like, you can see what led to it. So then Sandy comes in.
Understand the logic of it, yeah, but
you can sympathize, if not. Well, I don't know if that's you can understand, if not condone, I guess would be the right way to put it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sandy breaks the door down, gets in. All the phantoms become terrified of her.
Sandy's a very spry old woman, by the way.
Well, I mean, this is an old house. The door's only got one lock. What people don't realize is if you only have one lock, it's very easy to actually knock a door open because all the point of force is in one place. It's very easy to actually crack a door open that way. That's why you want locks at like every point of the door, like top, middle, bottom. If you really want to stop somebody from kicking a door in, you need multiple points to stop it because it distributes the force. Anyway, paranoia advisory over. She comes through. all the phantoms become terrified because she killed them, which is, I like the detail of the fact that they all become scared, even though they're phantoms at this point. But I guess, that the trauma of their death is now affecting them in death. So she comes in and Ellie, basically she grabs Ellie and she's like, I didn't want it to be like this. And Ellie goes up to her and hugs her and says, I'm sorry for what happened to you. And that breaks Sandy's kind of mentality. Like the fact that somebody expressed empathy and didn't react in anger or condemnation, the fact that she understands, she says, I saw what they did to you. I know what was done to you. And I'm sorry this happened to you. And she stops. And she says, get out. Get out of the house. I can't go to prison, but I'm not going to kill you. Just go. Get the boy, I think he's still alive, and get out. And she sits on the bed. Now the house is just completely engulfed in flames. So she just sits there, and Ellie goes downstairs, grabs, I don't even remember what his name, I think it's Jamie is his name, grabs him. He is still technically alive, but he's bleeding a lot, and drags and tries to get him out, but then the drugs overtake her and she falls down. But right then, the firemen break through the door. So they come through and they get them. And then Sandy burns to death in the building because she's sitting up in the room and they can't get to her, and she just lets herself burn to death. And then I thought that's where the movie was going to end. I thought it was going to be the end of it is when they pulled her out. But then we cut to a bit of an epilogue where we see that Ellie has, made her dresses and she does this show for the school and everybody really likes it. So she's doing well. And so after the show where all the runway models come out, her grandmother's there, Jamie's there. He's got a cane. So he lives, but he's fucked up, obviously. I mean, he did get stabbed pretty severely in the gut. So I don't know if that's permanent because I'm not really sure how much time has passed, but I mean, it's got to be some amount. So they come after her and they say, oh, this is great. Let's take you out. We'll get you dinner. This is fantastic. And she says, yep, I'll be right there. And she's walking over and she sees a mirror. And in the mirror, she sees her mom, and her mom is smiling. And her mom had killed herself. That's we find out that her mom had committed suicide. Probably because of something related to the psychic thing. We don't ever know that, but it seems like it would make sense.
Well, it seems like the kind of thing that would drive you crazy, don't you think?
Right. Yeah, I would say. So she sees her and she smiles and she turns back to them. And she's like, all right, let me just grab my coat and I'll come. And she comes back. And then she sees Sandy, but Sandy, it's the young Sandy. is in the mirror, and Sandy smiles and waves at her. And then she kind of smiles back, and then the movie ends. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I thought the fact that she hugs her and says, "I'm sorry this happened," that breaks it. And the fact that that guy stuck with her the whole movie, that really cemented the movie for me. Plus, it's shot to be like, Edgar Wright talked about that, like Suspiria, and a lot of these movies were influences, which is very clear. It looks Italian slasher. But I like the characters a lot. So even though the story, you could more or less have figured it out, because the Terrence Stamp as Matt Smith thing, there was a point where I'm like, this is way too obvious. This can't be as simple as it's making it out to be.
But it makes enough sense that you're like, well, I guess that's what it is until the switch.
Well, the thing that I didn't know until I saw the envelope was I thought Sandy was dead because we saw her get stabbed to death. I didn't even think about that. It could be that it was the psychic projection of her trauma. So I was waiting I figured out that Terrence Stamp was the cop, I would say maybe 3/4 of the way through. There was something about the way people were talking about him. I'm like, they're too vague. Somebody would have said his name, or something would have been more sinister. As it is now, he just seems like an old man who hangs around. And I sort of guessed that he was going to be the cop, because why have that character show up for that scene and then nothing ever references it again? I'm like, no, you don't show that if somebody's in the cop. But I did think we were going to see Jack. I thought he was going to be alive.
I'm surprised that they didn't have that tie back in, but I wonder if she killed him.
We see her slash his throat. No, we see her kill him.
Oh, there you go.
He's the first one, and then she just starts killing everybody else. So I really liked it. I thought it was very good. Now, the interesting thing is some of the criticisms I've read of it, I don't disagree with, especially after the halfway point. They start piling a lot of different types of... They're trying to do a mystery horror thing in that Italian style.
Yeah.
But something about it is a little off. Now, not enough that I care, because the characters are so good and I like them. A lot of people complained about the country girl's acting. I didn't see a problem with it, so I don't have that criticism. But a lot of people said, yeah, the tone is kind of off. And it is. But I wonder if some of that is because Edgar Wright is known for doing different types of films and not this type of film. So I almost wish I didn't know he directed it, because maybe it wouldn't have felt as off to me. Because I love Hot Fuzz. It's one of my favorite movies. And the thing is that you can see his directorial stuff in this, but it's not being played comedically.
No, it's it's like watching a funny Sam Raimi movie and then watching like a serious Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
The same elements are there.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's part of it, and it could be. But I would still say that people should watch it. The soundtrack's dynamite. It's all 60s like Mod Squad type songs, which are great. And I think like Matt Smith is a great scumbag. He's fucking great, because I knew from goddamn minute one what he was going to be.
Honestly,
but still, he was charming and handsome, and I knew that's what they were known for.
I liked him as the Doctor, because there was always a sense of an old man danger to him. And honestly, I thought he was great in The Crown, because like, the way they portray him as a man who doesn't want to be secondary to the Queen, it's a really interesting role for him. I like Matt Smith. I think he does good. And I know that in the new Game of Thrones series, he plays somewhat of a psychopath as well, and people like him for it. So
No, I don't have any complaints about him as an actor. I just find him to be much better as a villain.
Yeah.
When I've seen him in sinister roles, he's much better to me. So I would recommend it. I had no interest in it until I saw that music video thing.
Well, I mean,
I don't know why.
The funny thing is that sometimes we find movies, we find books, we find media. Yeah. It's going to sound weird, but sometimes we almost find it when we're ready for it. Like, I know that sounds very sort of overly spiritual, but there's been movies that like I've encountered for any number of weird reasons and been like, oh, you know what? I was like, it's amazing. I never heard of this before. But like, there is a weird synchronicity to the universe sometimes.
Media kismet or something.
I don't know. Yeah. We're like, and it's usually some kind of weird connection where it's like, you see this thing, which leads to that thing, which leads to this other thing, and then you're like, oh man, that's a really cool thing. I never would have found that if I hadn't done all those other weird things, you know?
Yeah.
That's why it's always worth going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it was just by chance that I decided to watch it because, like I said, I wasn't originally really planning to watch it. I knew
Honestly,
the
the fact that it was
existed.
directed by Edgar Wright is probably what put you off.
I think that's what it was because
Yeah.
I didn't think Baby Driver was. I didn't like that as much as some people did. I watched it. I went,
It was a fun movie. I didn't think, I'm not going to start a religion around it or anything, but it was a fun movie.
it was a movie. Like I said, it's just me. But it's $4. Last Night in Soho was $4 on Amazon. Well worth that. And there are a couple of scenes that I read about them, which I kind of looked up because I was like, wow, how did they do some of this stuff?
Oh, it's
And
just like
there's
the
one-
mirrors and things.
Well, the mirrors too, which there is a really good kind of, and actually I forgot there was sort of a foreshadowing of the end. There's a couple things that are really kind of telegraphed, but you don't know it the first time you watch it. Because there's a point where she sees what's happening to her when she's on the other side of the mirror, and she's, when the cop says, just walk away from it now, I can help you get away from this. She's banging on the mirror saying, listen to him, don't go with these guys, don't. And she, at the very end, breaks through the mirror and hugs her and then wakes up. And it's like, oh, okay. That's what happened at the end. That's how she got her out, is by hugging her. Not attacking her, not knocking her through the I thought she was going to somehow knock her through the window and she'd fall to her death. Like, that's where I thought it was going to go. But then when she hugged her, I was like, holy shit, man, this movie's doing something different. Yeah.
But the problem is knowing what kind of horror movie you're in. Because if you hug, Jason Voorhees, he's going to cut your head off. You have to be in a specific situation. You have to know your movie to get the hug right.
Yeah, Jollos don't typically have a lot of hugging either. So the fact that this was so clearly patterned after that, I was like, well, I would not have expected that. But like I said, for $4, I would watch it. I think it's a well done movie. So
good. I mean, the trailer looked interesting. The way it was filmed looked fascinating. Has an interesting story.
And some of the shots, like there's one where Matt Smith is dancing with the two of them, and they keep going in and out. Where she's seeing it, that you see her dancing with him.
I saw a sequence in an elevator where Matt Smith is making out with one of them, but in the mirror he's making out with the other.
Well, yeah, that's easy. That's easier to do.
Oh, I know. I find that parallel fascinating. All those little details,
Yeah, no, it is. That stuff's all really well done. But they actually did it where one of them would kind of go behind the camera, the other one would pop out when his arm went behind the camera, and they only had to do one piece of trickery, I think. The rest of it was they figured out how to do it practically. Apparently, there is a video, I haven't seen it yet, that shows like the whole the behind, like backed up, so you can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it was, because I'm looking at it going, man, this looks like they figured out how to do it in actuality. And for most of it, they did. And that kind of shit just impresses me in general. When they're doing in-camera trickery where, somebody jumps out and somebody else jumps.
That goes back to the whole, why do we like Hong Kong action movies? Because people are actually doing the stunts.
Right.
Yeah, when they do things practically, when you realize this is people being clever in front of the camera rather than just, moving things around on a computer.
Yeah.
It speaks to you more.
It does.
So
I was actually really happy that most of that was done practically.
Yeah.
So, like I said, for $4, I would recommend it. I think it's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it sounds like it was much better than Fountain of Youth.
I'm fairly certain it was.
But were there car chases? Did somebody drink super fluid that turned them into a lightning ball? Did they blow up the wall?
The only lightning ball we saw was in the movie we watched together, which does feature a sort of lightning ball. But no.
Oh, man.
Last Night in Soho doesn't have any of that. Does have some nice cars, but nobody's driving them off bridges or nothing. So.
Yeah.
But yes.
Well, then I guess that leaves us with with our flick, huh?
You shut the fuck up!
Thanks for killing
my mom.
Hey, no problem.
Yes, the movie we watched was based on Lando saying, "I want something that won't break my brain." I believe that was the quote.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's watch this movie from 1981 titled Visitors from the Arcana Galaxy. Now, all I knew about this was that it was foreign and that it was some type of...
it's not Polish. I thought it was Polish. It's is it Czech? It's from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
I thought it was
sense.
Polish, but it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't American.
Yeah.
And I had seen pictures of the main robot android woman's suit, which I really liked. And I read that it was a science fiction comedy. And so I thought, okay, why not?
This movie.
However, I had not seen a trailer. I knew nothing really about it. The only other thing that made me kind of suspect it would be worth watching is if you go to its page on IMDb, which I did just to see what the ratings were, and they were generally actually pretty good. On the bottom where it says more like this, one or two of the movies that I reviewed as that part of that 4-movie set was in there. And I went, oh, okay. If the Apocalypse tetralogy.
Yeah. And the thing is, I found this movie to be fun and amusing, and I was actually impressed by the level of ingenuity in the special effects, talking about, doing things practically. But I didn't think it was an earth-shaking movie. I mean, to say what I said before, I'm not going to start a religion around it, but I was impressed with this movie. Plus, I thought this movie was done in the 70s. It's 1980. So this is the beginning of the 80s movies.
Although, all I know, it was filmed in, there's no way to know when it was actually filmed.
It came out in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a really wacky movie. And I didn't know where the hell they were going to go with it. And, I enjoyed myself watching this movie. I didn't watch it going, what kind of bad movie is this? It's not. That's the thing. This is not a bad movie. This is not a so bad it's good movie. This is actually a rather good movie. It's just an older foreign film. It has its own internal logic. It makes some interesting statements about aliens and the human condition.
Yes.
And does some weird shit. Like and honestly, I don't know. I realize after the fact, I don't clearly know anyone's intentions in this movie except for the photographer. That's it. He just wanted to photograph something and get his big break. But otherwise, I don't know if the main character wants to fuck the robot or just go with her. I don't know if the children want to kill people or just cause mayhem or they look down on humans. Like, there's so many kind of complicated ideas going on, where it's like I like that because no one was, except for the photographer, nobody was easy to figure out per se. And every time the children did something, the space children did something wrong, the robot always fixed it anyway. So it was it's almost like they were allowed to do terrible things because they could turn time back. Such a strange, and even the monster in this movie didn't seem to specifically want to do anything wrong. It seemed to do bad things more out of, they say like wild animals are more afraid of you than you are of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was almost the effect I got off this creature, where it felt cornered, it felt caged, and then it started pulling people's heads off. So yeah, I would suggest this movie to a very specific audience, though. Everyone should see this.
The trickiest thing is trying to find a more popular comparison point. And I think the closest might be either like Terry Gilliam or imagining that.
Did you ever
Almost like
remember a movie called was it Gentleman Buffalo? No, what was that movie with Sam Rockwell where they're
I don't.
there's
Hold
two
on, looking
people
it
and
up.
they're fighting over the script of
Let's
a
see.
science fiction story.
Hold on.
I'm trying to remember what it's called. Is it
I'm looking
Gentleman?
through his stuff, so hold on, because
Uh,
he's done a few films. Gentlemen
hold on.
Broncos. That's
Gentleman
it.
Broncos.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
at
All right.
time, at
Yeah.
times there was this feeling I got like the guy who made Gentleman Broncos had seen this.
Sure.
And if you read like the description of Gentleman Bronco, you'll get an idea of like because it's about a writer as well, you know. Hold on, let me see if I can get a good description for you.
Well, I'll say the thing that I kept thinking of
Yeah.
was a episode of Tales from the Crypt where there's a cartoonist who is unintentionally bringing his creations to life. And it's the guy from Night Court whose name I can't believe I can't remember his friggin' name. I can remember his friggin' character name. No, not the remake, the original, you idiots. Harry Anderson. Harry Anderson in that episode is a cartoonist whose creations come to life. The episode's name is Corman's Calamity, it looks like, is the name of the actual episode. I'm just verifying that. Let's see. Corman's Calamity. Oh, I gotta search. Hold on. There were a few episodes. Here it is. Yeah, Jim Corman, a cartoonist who works on Tales from the Crypt comics, is put upon by his wife to take experimental fertility pills, and later in the night, a monster emerges from a washing machine, tearing the rapist's head off, and they realize it's the same monster from an issue of Tales from the Crypt, as along with other monsters that were recently cited, and Jim is unintentionally making his monsters come to life. Yeah, it's like that, except without the death and rape. So it's a softened version of that idea. Now, that episode was in 90, so it was well after this, but it's that basic idea that the writer, his book is being brought to life because we find out in a sequence that is amazing that when his mother died and his father
Oh my God!
dropped
that
a milk
sequence.
bottle and had no milk, that he telekinetically
his
manifested
baby.
breasts on his father.
Yeah, so his
As a
baby
baby.
form wanted the
Milk.
milk so badly that he psychically
And
changed the universe. So
understood that his mother was able to give him milk because she had breasts, so
Yeah.
she makes his father have breasts, and you realized right away, oh, that's a woman playing a man. I didn't pick
because
that up
when the father
right away.
first shows up, I thought, oh, that's a very dainty father.
Well, I thought
you
that too,
know.
but the guy's slim.
And
the actual
then when
adult,
they
so
open their shirt and they have the breasts, I was like, okay, that's a woman with a beard.
it was a woman, which is
Yeah.
a
But
brilliantly
you know what?
simple way to do it.
But exactly, what an easy way to get the
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is that the movie is filled with that. They were very clever on how to get the effect they wanted. I mean, and the monster in this movie is designed by apparently a well-known surrealist that wanted
Gee,
to
you
make
could
some
never
kind of
tell.
weird, wacky creature. I mean, it's worth watching just for that fucked up thing. I'm not the robot woman, whatever, the weird alien toy that pulls people's heads off. That thing is.
Well, it is, but the woman being able to have a replicator in her gut, having a coffee machine hand, the woman, the versatility of the
And
android
listen,
is great.
And honestly, the degree to which this could have gone badly, and
Oh, yeah.
the fact that they had such restraint was amazing.
I was unsure in the first.
Like
I think I told you
the
this.
nudity was all over the place in this movie.
Yes,
But
I will say that.
despite
When I upload this, I will be blurring that because I don't know if Patreon will flag that. So for our commentary, I will blur that out just to avoid it because it is not a flash of a breast. I will
oh no,
leave
there's
the,
an
I will leave
entire
the mom.
cavern full of naked people.
I'm going to leave the mom, the dad having the breasts in because it's so well done. But a cavern full of fully frontal nude people of all
There's a lot of
stripes
it. I mean, there's a lot
might
of it.
trigger
Yeah.
something. Yeah, the one with the mom is pretty brief. Or Dad Mom. Dad Mom
Oh
is
yeah,
pretty
but then the girlfriend takes her clothes off too because she's like, "Hey, fucking robot, this is what a woman looks like." I mean,
Yeah. But that's also brief,
but
and it's just one
but the
person. I
funny
think
thing
that'll be all right.
is the whole context of this movie is it's a science fiction writer who's writing a story, and in the story he says humans aren't ready for an alien encounter, right? And then he manifests these aliens because he has this kind of weird psychic power. He was kind of like what was Mr. Fantastic's son,
Oh,
who could
Franklin. Yeah,
Frank.
Franklin
He's like
Richards.
Franklin Richards,
Yeah.
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 So he because he's so obsessed with writing this book, he manifests these creatures. In fact, I think he manifests their entire galaxy. And when
Seems
they
that way.
come to Earth, what happens? Now, the real question here is, did the interaction with humans go so poorly because he's right? Or the interaction with humans go so poorly because he manifested it that way? This is the problem. I mean, this goes back to that Twilight Zone episode with the Twilight Zone movie with the boy who's making things in the
Yeah,
house,
the
the scary
cornfield.
rabbit and everything like that,
Yeah.
right? It's this idea that once you get into the realm where you can alter reality, well, the question is, when do you stop? Like,
Yeah.
if someone really has that kind of power, and the thing that kind of saves you with this movie is that he has to really want something for it to happen. So the thing is, he can't just send them away because he doesn't really want them to go away,
Yeah.
right? And in the end, he does leave with them, which is more so what he wants. And he says that he might come back. He might come back for dinner.
Yeah, he says he's bringing him back for dinner.
Yeah. But the I don't think he's controlling the human reaction. I
No.
think that his power is limited by like really like primitive desire. Like he has to want something so badly to put his will on it, right? But he's proven to be correct. Humans can't handle the interaction with some kind of alien, beings. Not to mention the fact the little alien kids are assholes.
They are dicks.
I mean, most of this movie is basically little alien children causing trouble because they're dicks.
That's true.
Like when that kid sticks the toy in the girl's bag, I'm like, I didn't think that was going to be like go on as long as it did. But I mean, it's like, yeah, that's your fault, fuckers. It's like all those people died. It's your fault.
Also,
Yes.
this movie it all takes place within about a 5-mile radius. It's the island and that boarding house. That's it. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well,
it's
there's two
shocking
houses.
because
There's his apartment. There's his girlfriend's house, which there's multiple apartments, and then there's the island.
It's basically a house or the island cavern.
And
That's
then
it.
occasionally the photo guy going to the newspaper going, I have photos, and them going, this is
office.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, sure you do.
And the thing is, the movie is funny. It's very funny, but it also, it's not that it gets serious. It's just that some of its commentary is quite good, even for a comedy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, yes, it's being funny, but at the same time, it's like, but I mean, like when they find out there might be aliens, a bunch of guys go on a boat to try and kill them. And it's like, because that's the thing. Is like, they're like, oh, the one guy's like, I'm gonna be the first person to kill it. The one guy who shoots the thing, he's like, I was the first human to kill an alien, and he's so proud of himself.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, like you had no
And then
idea
he
what
gets
was going
shot
on
in the
here.
ass. Literally.
No,
Literally,
that
the
guy gets his head
monster
ripped.
pew-pews.
That guy gets his head ripped off.
Oh yeah, well no, but the guys in the
shotgun guy.
boat.
Shotgun
guy.
the shotgun guy
The
got
guys
his
in
head
the
ripped
boat
off.
get it in the ass. But yes, it's
And even the brutal murder scene that goes on, there's some kind of like kooky Beetlejuice-esque comedy element to it.
well because one of the guys whose head gets ripped off, his head is still talking and moving when it's in the soup bowl.
and then his hands are moving, looking for the head. The other guy's
Yeah.
head gets crushed, but he's still talking.
Yeah, he ends up
They
looking like
built
one of
a-
those puppets from the what do you call it? The Genesis video with the Reagan puppets. He looks like that.
But he's still technically alive, and it doesn't matter in the end because the sex bot reverses time, and but yeah, it is an interesting flick. I don't regret having seen it. I just don't know who I would tell to see it.
Well, it's free on any number of services. The only thing is I haven't found a trailer for it. There probably is one. Let's see. Is there a trailer? Maybe it's on
A
YouTube.
trailer would not make any sense for this.
Yeah, but it would give you a sense of whether. Oh yeah, there is a trailer. Let me see what this trailer looks like. I'm gonna just.
When this movie came on for the first 10 minutes, Joe and I were sitting there, and I could hear Joe wondering if we were watching the wrong movie.
Yeah,
it was very funny because then all of a sudden it takes off, and we're like, "Oh, here we go!"
Yeah. Well, because in the beginning I wasn't even clear what the hell was happening.
No,
So,
I mean, it looked like a situational comedy in an apartment. And then weird stuff starts happening. And then you start sitting and going, oh, is this all in his head? Is this going to be an all in his head movie? But then other people start seeing it, and you're like, nope. I mean, when the aliens turn his girlfriend into a cube, I was laughing so hard about that because it's like, yeah, they turned her into a cube. They transmogrified her. And like, but the thing is that everybody is so earnest. Like, he doesn't try to hide the fact. He doesn't try to be like, oh yeah. He's like, they turned my girlfriend into a cube. And the girl's like, where's my sister? And he's like, she's right here. She's in the cube. Like, it's almost like he doesn't know well enough to defend himself necessarily. It's like is he naive? Is he too nice? Is he just, just believes so much? I don't know.
all right, I just finished the trailer.
Okay.
I believe the trailer. Look for the restoration trailer. That one I think conveys a general sense of what happens. And if it looks like there's no possible way that you could seriously watch it, don't bother. But it is described as a surrealist sci-fi comedy. I think that's a fair...
And I think that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description.
Yeah.
But it is very hard for me to give you a parallel film of the same type.
No, I don't think there is a parallel film. I mean, there are whispers of other directors. I mean, like I said, you said at one point, like Charlie Kaufman, Terry Gilliam. Like, there are hints of that, right? I mean, listen, there's hints of Brazil to some degree, right? But it's like only in the most like kind of positive fantasy type way.
Right.
But then it also has the sensibilities of where it's being made, the time, place it's being made.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very not American movie. Very not American movie.
But well, here too, I'll say this: if you watch that trailer and you think, "Ooh, I really want to see this," then you're going to enjoy it. Even if the trailer doesn't really tell you anything.
You know what? I had no fucking idea what the hell I was getting into. I enjoyed it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And it didn't.
It's not second screen viewing.
Things.
I'll say
no,
that.
It's definitely not. No,
and,
it's definitely
and this
not
is something else I'll say. There were points where it was bordering on incoherence. And yet, at no point did I ever even think of looking away from this thing.
No,
because it moves, man. It's shoveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's showing you wacky shit every few minutes of some kind. I mean...
Yeah, but it's not... Yeah. The thing is, it's not nonsensical. There is a clear story here. The man has mental powers.
But you and I, multiple points said, where is this going? Like, what is
yes, I didn't know where the fuck it was going to go.
Neither did I.
Because I mean, do they kill everybody? I mean, honestly, the time travel thing. Once she rewound things the first time, I was like, okay, this is your get out of jail free card. You can do whatever you want now because you can always rewind it, which is what they do.
But to the credit of the movie, it just does it the once to say, yeah, this just isn't going to work. Meaning the interaction is not going to. It's just going to go bad. Yeah. So rather than it be like a repeating thing where they try to get it right and it keeps going wrong, they're just like, no, we tried it. And he's like, I'm just going to leave with them. And, maybe I'll come back if you guys can figure out your shit here.
Yeah. And he's not unhappy. I mean, he is genuinely, I think he's genuinely torn. I don't even know if he's genuinely torn. He likes his girlfriend, but he really is into that robot. I mean, I'm just glad that they didn't devolve into what a lot of other movies would have, which is that he would have fucked that robot. If that movie had been made by anybody else at any other time, he would have fucked that robot. Instead, she comes in and he's just like touching her skin and being like, she has this crazy effect. And like he's kind of scared of it, but also fascinated. Like, and she's fascinated, and like it very easily could have devolved into, nice, but there's for what is what for what, a movie that has a kind of fascinating sexuality. It also has a very sort of benign sexuality. So, like I said, all those people in the cave when they think they're going to be the alien, and the one woman says, "We need to show them that we're being honest and we're open." And the thing is, that if you hear the recording, I was watching it. I said, "Take all your clothes off," like as a joke, and then she, like a minute later, was like,
And they
"Take
did.
all your clothes off." Yeah, take your clothes off, which is hilarious. But they're all naked, but there's no sexuality to it. It isn't like carnal. There's no like sexiness to it. Like there's this earnestness to it.
Yeah.
And then even later on, when the girlfriend takes her clothes off and starts screaming at the robot, it isn't sexy. It's her going, "Hey, I'm a real human. This is what real humans look like. You're a fucking robot." Right. So I found that all to be fascinating. And even and that coupled with the fact with the effects are actually, I mean, they did a pretty good job with what they were doing.
I agree. I think they're very good for the most part.
Yeah, I was...
Except for the pissed-on moon. It's the only thing about
the moon was the worst part, wasn't it? They really wanted this big dramatic
cheese
moon.
Or something.
Yeah, and you didn't need it. At no point did I felt like, oh, this scene really needed that moon.
It sure did.
But yeah, I mean...
But still,
like
I said, I was never bored.
No.
Not once.
No. Once it got moving.
Was I anything less than riveted.
I was unsure what was going to happen from the start, because like I said, it starts like almost like a situational comedy, and then all of a sudden things get weird, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they fake you out, too, because when it starts, he's wearing that space helmet, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a space movie. And then it like kind of pulls out, and you're like, no, it's not. He's in his fucking living room. I was like...
Yeah, and I thought at first that he was narrating something that had happened, like a first contact scenario, and you picked up that it was him writing it.
No, he was writing.
Got it. Yeah. But because I didn't read anything about it, I read nothing. I wanted to go into it cold. And
there's very little info about it. I went looking and I couldn't find a lot about it.
Yeah. And that may be intentional. It may be that they don't want you to necessarily have a complete handle on it, because I'm not even convinced he was sexually attracted to that robot as opposed to being obsessed with his creation of it.
I think that he was extremely attracted and fascinated to its existence. I don't know if he wanted to fuck it. I think he just wanted to
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Because otherwise, when she's saying touch me, he would have been like, I'm on you, baby, let's go.
Every time they touch each other, there's this kind of weird electrical thing that happens between them. And he's kind of afraid of it. Yeah, he's afraid of it, but he's fascinated, So it's like... Yeah, I mean, and like I said, a lot of other directors would have gone in some kind of sexy route where they, where it would have become bad very quickly, but they didn't. They never get there. The movie is so, it's just so earnest. It's so sweet. Like even the living room slaughter or dining room slaughter sequence. There's just such a comedy.
The old man playing the accordion and not noticing anything.
Yeah, and the just all of it. It was when we first watched it, when we first finished watching, I didn't know if it was a comedy. Like I was like, well, it's definitely a surrealist movie. But then afterwards, I'm like, no, it makes me laugh thinking about it. So yes, it was a comedy.
Well,
it was
and that's where
science fiction comedy.
The dining room scene, had it been handled straightforward, would have really confused the tone.
If it had been like serious.
Yeah, even if they rewound time, but if all those people were actually murdered, like brutally by the monster, where the monster did not seem to even really care about the people. It seemed to want to just be sniffing flowers, and they kept fucking with it. So
yeah, because they were afraid.
The monster did not seem malevolent until they kept messing with it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, all right, I'm going to start shooting flames out of my snuffleupagus snout at you as I unfold my ears for some reason and have a living mouth.
Face. Yeah,
but then the guy gets his hand bit off and he's just like, oh, again. Like he looks at his hand like,
well, so I mean, there's no blood. Cigarettes. Like the way it pulls people apart is like they're toys.
The guy's head gets smushed and he gets up and he's like, what's going on? And the photographer's like, don't worry. When you see the pictures, you'll understand. The guy's like, and just falls over with a flattened head. Not dead,
Yeah.
as far as we know.
Yeah, and there's a sequence where one guy's photographs disappear, and what I like about it is there are actual photographs. Like if you look at they did the special effect to make them disappear, but there are actual photographs there.
Yeah.
I like those little kind of, those little details.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was a funny movie, man. I mean, when I was younger, I would have gone crazy about this flick.
I'll probably end up getting it because I don't know of anything else that's like this. And this is one of those things where I'm like, ooh, I've never seen anything like this. It has a very specific personality. I think it is what you're talking about. It's the time, it's the people involved, the intent.
Yeah.
And also, it's not American. And I think that means that
think Stanislaw Lem, right? Stanislaw Lem? Is that how you pronounce his name? Stanislaw Lem?
Science fiction. Yeah.
Yeah. The one of the things that's fascinating about him is that he's a science fiction writer. Clearly. I mean, he has the mind for it, but he's also writing from a place that I'm not familiar with because he is a Russian writer. So his starting point is different. So not only is he envisioning a future, but he is envisioning a future from a starting point that I'm not familiar with, which makes his futures even more unfamiliar to me. Yeah. And that's this movie. This movie starts from an unfamiliar point and then goes from there.
Right. And that's what I mean. That's why I like those 4 Polish movies, those science fiction ones, because they were written as a response to communism.
Yeah.
So what they're talking about is not something I ever experienced, but with elements I'm familiar with. So, yeah, that's what I mean. It's if for no other reason, if you want to see something that has a very, very specific personality and viewpoint that is familiar enough, but infused with its own background. That's and in fact you can watch it for free. So honestly, I often say if you get 10 to 15 minutes into a movie and it's not working for you, bail. That's this movie. If you realize you've been watching it for 20 something minutes.
No. I would say to you, if you get to the sequence where he first sees the robot and the kids on the island, right?
Yeah.
And you're not curious where that goes, then you can turn it off.
Then bail.
But wait till he gets to the island and sees them.
Let's see how soon that happens. That happens. Hold on. 15 minutes.
Is it really? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the boat arrives at 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and it goes wandering around. And he first sees them in full at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Is where you see the 3 of them on a rock. But, you're going to know.
Yeah, a modern, if somebody tried to remake this today, it would just lose all its earnestness. I mean, I keep going back to that word, but that's really what it is. It's just got this kind of comical innocence to the situation. It's.
Yeah, I don't know what you remake and do differently because everything works for what the movie is. It doesn't need CG. It doesn't need anything and honestly, that a remake would provide.
It makes me, I don't know why, but it makes me think of Beetlejuice. Because Beetlejuice is this kind of
remember I said when the monster started unfurling its ears, I'm like, oh, we've gone Tim Burton now. Because that's what it looks like.
There's, it's this very sort of comical view of death. It's
absurdist. It's not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
It's every time something seems like it might go in a bad direction, it diffuses it somehow.
But then the deeper message of it is that humans aren't ready for aliens.
Yeah.
You're like, no, they aren't. Especially not these aliens, who I will admit are genuinely kind of alien. Like, yes, they look human, but this is the whole time means nothing to them, emotions mean nothing to them. Right. The food is small.
Yeah. But it's filling.
Man. You know what? Honestly, Star Trek. This is. I get the sense this person watched Star Trek, the original Star Trek, because the original Star Trek has that kind of, innocence to it, doesn't it? Exploring
absolutely.
Space and everything is, we're all archetypes of good people, and got to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, So, yeah, I mean, anything. The main character in this is kind of a low-level Q.
Sure, yeah. He manifests what he imagines. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Travelers weren't like that, right? I always forget what the traveler's abilities were.
Well, they could go anywhere at any time, but I never really was clear on what the hell they did.
Yeah, but they're not like Qs. They can't just manifest things.
No, they can't. They're not gods like the Qs are. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they do? I know they just travel around. There's one where they try to intervene in something. Being humanoid from mysterious species. He was on a journey to experience other realities. He might
because Wesley becomes a traveler.
Yes, he does.
Or he wasn't always a traveler.
He is able to alter space-time and warp fields to be able to phase out of time and dimensions and move between planets and starships. Yeah, because according to their species, thought is the basis of all reality. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, but Qs can just do anything.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could remake this as a Star Trek episode.
Oh, easily. Yeah. I mean, a version of this has been done.
Yeah, probably.
On virtually everything in different ways. Because, yeah, the kid with the cornfield is basically this guy, but as a spoiled little brat. So, he sends people to the cornfield, which is to send them to, in actuality, he's sending them to some alternate hell planet. Like Altair 6, that's where Stephen King got it for the Tommyknockers. Oh, I think the kid's name is Tommy. I didn't even realize that's probably where that comes from. Shit, I never even put that together. Or was it Timmy? What is that kid's name? Hold on.
I haven't read the Tommyknockers, and I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
Hold on. So in the let's see, what's the kid? The kid. It's a Good Life is the Twilight Zone. What is the kid's name? Anthony. No, it's not Tommy. It's Anthony. But they say that the planet that he sends them to is, I believe they refer to it as Altair or something like that. So he's not. When they go to the cornfield, like something happens. I thought they said it was like a planet named Altair or something like that. But I could be misremembering that. But in the Tommyknockers, the Altair 6 is where the Tommyknockers, their aliens, come from. God, I haven't read that book in a long time. Yeah. I should reread that. I just know people's teeth fall out.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, teeth fall out.
I remember the TV movie because Jimmy Smith has like... I remember the TV movie because I remember Jimmy Smith had like one fucking truly badass moment when he gets in that machine.
Yeah. And
I was just like, oh, that's cool. And I love that when you have a movie that's kind of like weak, but then you have one scene where you're like, oh my God, this movie's weak. But that scene needs to be in a much stronger movie.
Yeah.
I collect those. And I guess that's why you watch bad movies to some degree. Because like you watch them and you're like, this is not a good movie. But this moment is fucking amazing. This moment needs to be in an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when Jimmy Smith...
Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
When Jimmy Smith gets in the machine in the Tommyknockers movie, for like 2-3 seconds, it's fucking amazing.
I remember the book being... And I remember the book not... I have to reread it. It has been I mean, I read it the last time I read it was probably not too long after high school, so it's been a long time. But I do remember it felt different than most of Stephen King's stuff. There was like a grittiness to it.
That's a lot. There's a lot of grittiness in this shit.
No, but it was when I say I mean literal. There was like a dirt feeling to it, not dirty, but this like almost like earth. Like it's the most earth-covered story of his, and I don't know what that means. But if I think of that story, either. I think of dirt covering things, and I don't know what. I gotta reread it.
Weird.
I think of dirt. I literally think of like grass, like uprooted grass piled from a shovel. With grass and dirt when I think of the Tommyknockers.
Interesting psychological reaction.
There's got to be a reason. So I'll read it. I think the ship is buried in the ground. Maybe he has to dig it into it or something. I just remember that and people's teeth falling out. And I don't know for sure. Actually, this is the real reason I have to reread it. It was either that book or The Great and Secret Show that ruined pornography for me at a very young age.
It's a Great and Secret Show.
Is that the one where the guy's sitting there watching it and it tells you that it's fake? See,
yes,
I think that's Tommyknockers.
I'm pretty sure that's the Great and Secret Show.
Whatever one it was, that was when pornography ceased to be useful to me at all. And it happened very early. So I was just
Did
like,
you realize
oh,
they were just acting?
yep. I was like, this is pointless. Yeah. No effect.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes shit breaks your brain.
it detitillated anything. So thanks for that, Clive Barker, who writes some of the most overly sexually.
And I'll tell you what's funny is that because we're talking about these, like, detitillating. When I was younger, I remember the first time I read a sequence in a book that would really I had I don't want to turned on, but I was God, what's the word when you're not turned on, but you're I guess aroused,
Sure.
but not, but it wasn't in it wasn't like a sexy way. It was just I know it was because I was young. I remember there's a sequence in one of the first Dragonlance books where a character kisses another character, and the way it was described, I was like, oh my God, that gives me the flutters. I was like, I want to kiss somebody like that,
Sure.
And I was like, I was in middle school when I read this, but I think after I read that, I was like, ooh, the power of books, man.
Mm-hmm.
The power of books is great. I was like, because I never had that reaction to. I mean, at that point, I'd seen tons of movies. I never had a reaction like that. I was like, and I read this one sequence, and I mean, this goes back to that with the 2-3 seconds of a movie that can be truly great. I love the Dragonlance book. With that moment when I was a kid, I read it and I was like, yeah, I was it gave me the vapors, and it was. Those are not sexy books. Those are fantasy books. They're straight fantasy books.
Sure.
But it was just this one sequence that snuck in as a kid, thinking, God, I want to kiss somebody like that. I want a kiss to mean as much to me as it does to this character. Wouldn't that be a thing, So, yeah. And I guess that's it.
200 hours later.
I was going to say, that's it, right at the 2-hour mark.
Yep, right at the 2-hour mark. That's it. So I would recommend Last Night in Soho. And I would recommend Visitors from the... Is it from? Hold on. Visitors from
the Arcana Galaxy.
Visitors from the Arcana Galaxy. Yes.
Yeah.
$4 for Last Night in Soho.
I would
Free for
suggest
visitors.
To a specific audience.
Well, like I said, because it's free, you can watch it. And Lando's correct. Wait till you get to the point where he sees and interacts with the intruders or the aliens, the whatevers, the first time. And if at that point you're not all in, and you need to be at that point because you'll have a flavor.
If you aren't curious then as to where the hell it's going to go, then just go.
Yeah, then just bail out, and just be prepared to see a lot of beige. A lot of beige.
Oh my God! Yeah, he's always wearing beige in this movie.
There's some fascinating architecture, gadgets, and color schemes of the time. So,
the sequence where the coffee cup appears.
Yeah,
I thought that was so well done, and I'm pretty sure
It's
they
great.
did that with claymation or something like that.
Yeah, they just did it in reverse. They probably built it up because it looks really good. So
yeah, there's a few sequences where I'm like, oh, that was very clever, very well done. Yeah. It's the whole they did it smart. It's like, well, we need a man with breasts. Well, we'll just get a woman and dress her up like a man. You're not expecting it. You don't know it's a woman. Right. So then you're like, oh my God, he's got breasts. You're like, yeah, because it was a woman all along. But you didn't know that. Yeah. Works perfectly. And it's like that kind of clever filmmaking,
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm watching it, and I wonder how they did that because man, it's so smooth.
Yeah, it's really well done.
It's really, really you don't see any ridges in it where it's being.
That's why I was looking for more information because the special effects in this are not bad. For the time, they're actually really quite well done, but they're clearly her small time.
Because her suit isn't trying to look realistic. It's somebody described it as a Giger-esque take on the robot from Metropolis, and I think that's good. I think that's actually very, very
there is
accurate.
A Metropolis. There's like a C-3PO Metropolis vibe.
Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. I don't need it to. I don't need to see.
But I do like that sequence where she opens up her stomach to show you her atomic reactor, and then they cut it in this way where he can see right through her. I thought that was well done. It's little things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I get the sense that she's an android, but I do get the sense that she is a robot.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, she's definitely. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to know how they did specifically the coffee effect.
I wonder if the the cup, or the coming out of her finger.
No, the coming out of the finger is easy because
That's easy,
most of
yeah.
her
You
hands
meant
out
the
of
cup.
frame. No, the cup.
Yeah.
The cup
Yeah.
being conjured is done with very little. There's not much jumpiness to the way that it manifests. Where normally with stop motion, or if you're doing like a build up, especially if you don't have a huge budget, you can kind of see the choppiness of when they were putting pieces. But you're seeing the layering really well. So I would be curious.
Do the DVDs have any kind of commentary or explanation?
I mean, there's commentaries, but
you know
I
what?
don't see
It
anything
won
specific on the
awards.
effects.
This movie won
Yeah.
awards when it came out.
I'm not surprised.
So there's got to be
Because-
some information about it.
Oh, I'll look around. But specifically that coffee cup, it's in the trailer. They actually show it, which is smart because it's a great effect. Her arm as the vacuum and how it retracts, like all that stuff is just when she turns one of her fingers into a nun's ruler whip to chastise one of the young
It's just
boys
so silly.
is goofy as hell.
She has a lightsaber, but essentially.
And it keeps going, ow, 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 ow. It goes on. It goes on and on and on. It's like, okay, yeah, now you've crossed
And
into comedy.
the kids being dubbed with like adult voices as well.
Yeah.
It's very Children of the Corn.
And everything is pew, 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 pew. Like,
pew,
they're
yes,
just
well.
literally the pew, pew, pew sound. So, yeah.
Well, come on. When did Star Wars come out?
No, I agree. It's,
Yeah. Yeah. This is, I mean, if anything, this movie is a reaction to Star Trek and Star Wars.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. It's definitely, but I think you're right that it feels more Star Trek than Wars, but
Yeah.
it is trying to do some of the visual kind of cueing of, because you're right, she looks like C-3PO, but much more.
Metropolis.
You can understand why a man would be attracted to that as opposed to C-3PO in most cases.
Hey, listen, everybody's got a fetish. If
No,
you
I'm
don't
just saying
think there's
that-
somebody out there fucking protocol droids.
No, I'm sure there is, but the face is a human face, whereas C-3PO has I'm sure somebody finds that head attractive, but it's not a human.
Hold on one
head.
second. I just need to make sure something exists. Hold on one second.
You're gonna look for hentai with C-3PO or something?
I just want to see. I'm just curious.
No, of course it's there. You know it's there. You don't. See, it didn't
No,
take
you
long.
know what though? It's not what I thought it was going to be. No. See, they don't make him the object. They don't make him the bottom. They make him the top. Like they give him like
Wow,
a huge
well-
golden dildo, and I'm like, no, I don't
Hey,
see
why-
that as C-3PO.
Good for him. Why not?
Like I see somebody, screwing his arm or his eye hole or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Geez, yeah, nobody sees C-3PO as the bottom.
Well, you know what? Maybe they're trying to empower him.
I guess.
Why not? It's okay.
Well, you know what? That's amazing then. I did not find the thing I thought I was going to find. That is weird. Because
Well, if
normally,
anybody finds it, feel free to tell us.
normally, whatever horrible thought I have, somebody's already had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
God. Okay, I got to
You
close
found the
this
one
now.
thing.
This just got
C-3PO
bad
is never a
quick.
bottom.
Okay. He's
Get
never.
away
No,
from
I
that.
never see him as a bottom. Maybe I have to be more specific in my search, but I don't want to write that in right now. Because
C-3PO bottom? I'll do it.
Hold on. Oh, man.
Nope, I see the thing you're talking about. He has his own lightsaber. I see that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to be the bottom ever. It's such
No.
an interesting.
Hold on. All right.
No, he's always the aggressor. How very
Hold on.
strange.
Let's see. No, you're right. I'm getting nothing. I even tried just searching for is C-3PO a bottom?
Holy
Nothing.
shit. Yeah, he is always the aggressor. All this hentai and all this animation I'm seeing, he is always the aggressor.
Well, You know what?
What a very strange sort of like cultural zeitgeist that is.
I suspect I know a story you could write very quickly and make money on now.
Well, if it's not out there, then nobody really wants it, is there?
No, I don't say that.
How is that possible?
Don't say that.
That like, you know what? Hold on.
Wow, that's hysterical. Somebody did post a picture of sliced meat that's very suggestive, which is weird. I don't even know what to make of that. Why would that be the response to this? Okay. Yeah, no, there's nothing.
No, he's... Oh,
Nothing.
God, what a weird way to end the show.
Yep.
Well...
On that note, everybody, C-3PO apparently is never a bottom. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you next week. He's a top. What do you want from me? All right. Bye. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes or to browse through our back catalog. Follow at Ozone Nightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 140 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, visit our creator page at patreon.com/Ozone Nightmare. Music for Ozone Late Night is provided by Ogre. Visit ogresound.bandcamp.com to listen and purchase his fantastic selection of music.